Good evening. We welcome you all on behalf of Vivekananda Study Circle. We'll begin our program with the invocation. I kindly request you all to stand.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
We are glad to welcome and introduce Professor K. Raghuttam Rao, who has come all the way from Bangalore to be with us this evening. I would request Nisarg to present bouquet to Professor K. Raghuttam Rao as a token of our welcome. The manifestation of the divinity within is the ultimate purpose of human life. This is possible only if we attempt to excel ourselves in various aspects of life. Thus, Vivekananda Study Circle has always been enthusiastic in organizing a lecture on this topic. We have with us respectable Professor K. Raghuttam Rao to give us insights on this topic, human excellence. Professor K. Raghuttam Rao is a well-experienced person in the field of teaching and training. He has trained students, teachers, and professionals from corporate sector throughout the world for 2 decades. He has scripted and directed several documentaries, corporate films, thematic education films for Doordarshan, central and state education departments, multinationals, and currently for Jain Group of Institutions, Bangalore. He is Professor of Commerce and Management and has been awarded for his excellence in HR training. He is the founder president of School of Ecological Education in Karnataka. He is specialized in communication skills and is well known for his keen sense of humor. Presently, he is a director of Manas Center for Training and Development, Bangalore. We are happy to welcome him with great joy and honor and would invite him to speak on today's topic, human excellence.
My pranams to Atma Shraddhananda Ji Maharaj and to all of you, my dear friends. I am indeed very happy. I feel privileged to be with all of you this evening in this beautiful setting. And I must sincerely thank Swamiji for giving me a wonderful opportunity to be here and to share some of my thoughts on this wonderful topic of human excellence. Friends, let me tell you, when I mean human excellence, I always mean that it is personal excellence and it has to start with the person per se. And before I start my presentation, I have a small PPT presentation. My request to all of you is kindly be with me I would request all of you to be present to the present. And maybe at the end of the presentation, if there are any questions, I would certainly try my best to answer. Friends, it reminds me of an incident which recently happened in Punjab, India. A Punjabi woman had a dream of marrying an Indian settled in America. That was the only goal, the only objective of her life. She was successful. She could marry a man from Punjab, settled in America for more than 2 decades, a very rich man in America. She was so happy. She thought her purpose of life was accomplished. They had to come to India to attend a wedding, and when they landed at the Delhi airport, they could not find a taxi. And she said, "Look, this is India, dirty India." The husband knew her attitude. He did not speak. I think most of the married men become so very wise after marriage, they know that they should not speak. So he also kept quiet. And after that, they could find a taxi, an old ambassador, which is very rare to see on roads these days. And somehow, they started their journey. After some time, the tire burst and the driver did not have a spare wheel, no stepney. He said, "Please excuse me, wait here. It may take half an hour for me to go and see that we have the puncture or the tire replaced." After about half an hour, he was to come, but this lady was very hungry. It was very hot, a summer month, very hot in Delhi and the surroundings, more so in Punjab. This lady said, "What is this? So dusty, so very hot, dirty India. This is India." This man kept quiet. She said, "I'm feeling very hungry. I want to eat something." And he said, "I don't find any hotel here in this particular part." She said, "No, I'm dying. I'm very hungry. I want to eat something." Then there was an old man sitting on the roadside. He went to him and asked him, "Can I get some food here? Do you have a restaurant?" He said, "No restaurant in this place. But look, there is a small hut. You go and request. The people are very kind. They may help you." So they went there. There was an old man. And they said, "This is our problem. Can you please give us something to eat?" He invited them inside, asked them to sit on the charpai. They sat. He gave them some rotis, curd, and some honey. And she was very happy. And after eating, she said, "You must pay him some money. He expects some money. Look at his face. I feel, he is expecting some money from you. Give him some money." The husband pulled out his wallet, gave him 100 rupees. And the man said, "No, I don't want money." She said, "Look, this is India. I knew that people are here to cheat. Give him 500 rupees. And this man gave him 500 rupees. And the old man said, "No, I don't want money." Then she said, "Look, I knew that this will happen. This is dirty India. I knew that this will happen. Pay him off 1,000 rupees. Let us forget this episode. Let's go back. Let's quit this place as early as possible." Then as he pulled out a 1,000 rupee note, he said, "Sir, I have been telling you that I don't expect money from you. Please don't pay me. What I have given you is not for money. Out of love and affection, and you came, you are in need of food. I had some food with me. I want to give it to you. Please take this. Don't try to pay." This man knew, with a smile as he was coming out, he told his wife, "Look, this is India." Friends, my request to all of you is please don't clap and forget. I would never request you to remember the stories or anecdotes that I may use, I may intersperse. But my request to all of you is, friends, let us first of all become good human beings and then human havings. I differentiate very simply like this. A human being is one who is very humane, who is very humble. And if you look back in history or mythology, you will find all great people, men and women, were humble. And that's why they became great, not otherwise. So let us become humane fast. That humility is very, very important to excel. If I become a good human being, rest will follow. you need not be worried. And that's what the difference is. Let us become good human beings first, and then good human havings. In fact, I for one would tell you, don't make money. I for one would always request people to make money, tons and tons of money. But you know how to use that money that you make. And if you are a good human being, you know how best you can put that into use. That is what is very important for all of us. Let us not be too materialistic. Make money, but let me also tell you a word of caution to you. You must make money, but the ways and means that you adopt to make money, please be careful about it. We will have to take the right path to make money. Never try to become rich overnight. Don't follow shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. If you want to follow a shortcut, you will be cut short. So let us not have that. The ways and means by which we make money is equally important to all of us. Make money, but put that into good use. In fact, there is a beautiful saying, manure and money must be used, otherwise it stinks, and money should not stink. I must make money in the right royal way, use it for a very good cause, for a very good purpose. Let us not be too materialistic. Very recently in America, a man had bought a very expensive car, one of its kind perhaps, very expensive. He was traveling. Day one, he has bought the car, a new car, he is traveling, and suddenly he had to stop the car, so he applied brake and opened the door, and there was another car coming, zooming, and it hit the door. The door got ripped open. And this man lost his temper, started shouting. A brand new car, very expensive car. He has paid perhaps, millions of dollars to own that. And the right door is ripped open. And there was a cop standing. He shouted at him and said, "My new car, the door is ripped open. Catch that fellow. Book a case." The cop, who came very close to the car, said, "Sir, why are you shouting and crying about the door of your car? Your right arm is missing." And this man immediately said, "What? My arm is missing? There was a Rolex watch on that. Find that." Friends, that is what is human having. If you are a human being, you will not worry about the possessions. You will worry about your life, which is more precious than anything else. I don't know about Chennai, but I can tell you with authority, in city like Bangalore, lot of people die going under the wheels of a moving bus for the sake of one footwear, not a pair of footwear, one footwear. While trying to board the bus, sometimes, one of the footwear slips, and to take that, they go under the wheels of the bus. They have not estimated the value of their life. They are more worried about a footwear. So friends, fundamentally, this is what is essential for all of us. As Swami Vivekananda says, all of us have divinity. Let us express that divinity. Let us be divine. Let us be human beings. If you want to be divine, you must be a good human being. Ramachandra became a god because he was a good human being. He was an ordinary person like all of us. But that extraordinary quality he possessed, he became great. Krishna was also an ordinary person, but such a good human being, he became great. So fundamentally, friends, it is very essential that we understand the true nature of a human being and try to become good human beings. And this is what is the crux of my talk today. And as I said, I always request people to start changing from self. As Mahatma Gandhi says, you be the change that you want to see. I want a lot of changes in the society, but I don't want to change myself. Nothing changes. So let me change myself. If I can become an excellent person, as a person I am excellent, the entire world becomes excellent. That's how we need to start. And that is why I concentrate my presentation on self. Let us become as good individuals, excellent individuals, so that the world becomes so good for us to live in. This is very important. And before I start my presentation, friends, it is customary that I request for a few things from my participants. I always request for 3 things from all of you. And of course, I must ask you, till what time can I go on? Because the organizers had told me that it is between 6 and 7:30. We have started 15 minutes late. if you say, okay, I can go up to 7:45 with your permission. Because I have had good experience in this field. Once a youth club invited me for a talk, and I asked the organizers, how long can I talk to you? One boy stood up and said, sir, don't worry about time, sir. For any length of time you can talk. I was very happy. But then he immediately said, after half an hour we will go. So that shouldn't happen. Please tell me till what time safely I can go. Please be honest. 7:30? 7:45? Wonderful. Thank you very much. So friends, I expect three things from all of you. Number one, I want all of you to keep your eyes open. Very, very important for us to understand this particular topic. Why should you keep your eyes open? When I ask this question, or when I pose this question to youngsters, generally in the colleges, invariably they tell me, sir, not to sleep, sir. I have no fear, but I must share my little experience in the field of corporate training. I was training a group of executives in Delhi, and there was a gentleman sitting in the front row, and throughout not just looking at me, staring at me, and now and then nodding his head. I was so happy, so elated. At the end of the session, I went to him with a pat on the back. I said, sir, thank you very much for a wonderful participation. He woke up and asked me, what session? And that was a 2-hour session on interpersonal skills, and the gentleman asked me, what session? Friends, that day I came to know that there are some blessed people amidst us who can sleep with their eyes wide open. And not only that, they are also doubly blessed because they are blessed with a computerized brain which makes the head nod once in a while, pre-programmed. Every 10-15 minutes the head nods. So my worry is not that. Friends, in order to become excellent human beings, excellent individuals, I feel we must keep our eyes open and look around. You have so many things to learn from nature, from others. That's what I always say. I'm an amateur naturalist, so pardon me, I always go back to nature. According to me, nature is the best teacher. So let's learn, let's have that eagerness to learn things from others, from many other things. And that's why I request all of you to keep your eyes open. And the second request, of course, is to keep your ears open, both ears. If you want to become good human beings, friends, let me tell you, you must cultivate the habit of listening, being good listeners, effective listeners, not passive listeners. You must be effective listeners. If you are a good listener, a psychologist says, God has endowed all of us with 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you know why. To constantly remind ourselves that we can talk less, or we should talk less, listen more. And 2 ears. Once again, when I pose this question to youngsters, they would invariably tell me, why both ears? Why 2 ears? They would tell me, sir, input, sir, output, sir. We are very happy sitting here, sir. If you say input, output, of course, I tell them it is like a highway tunnel. Something enters in, something gets out. But what about your overhead tank? In order to fill that, you need to create some pressure, so keep both ears open so that they meet at a point and create some pressure, your overhead tank is full. And a psychologist says, in order to become good human beings, excellent human beings, one must have the capacity to listen to people first. Listening, attentive listening. Why should you listen? He says, you must take the meaning from one ear, feeling from the other ear, so that there is a positive response in you as a human being. That is very important. If you check the meaning part of it, sometimes you react. You are not taking the feeling attached to that. So please take the meaning and the feeling. There is a positive response in you. And that is why I always request my participants to keep both ears open. So that you take the meaning, you take the feeling. And the third request, friends, in order to become excellent human beings, it is equally important that we keep our minds open. No prejudice, no bias. Let anybody tell me something good, I must accept it. If I have that mind, that frame of mind, that attitude of taking things which are correct, once I feel it is correct, I must take it. So no prejudice, no bias. Whoever tells me, whatever he tells me, if it is good, if it is interesting, I must take that. That is what we mean by keeping the mind open, so that we evolve as good human beings. and we will excel as human beings, and that is what is human excellence. So let us not have any prejudice, no bias. Sometimes, my physique is a problem. Moment they look at me, they say, oh, this man, what is he going to tell us? So I always request people, do not come to a conclusion, do not jump to a conclusion, no preconceived ideas, no prejudice, no bias. Please listen, please take things. Once you feel, once you're convinced that it is good, you must take it. Because, friends, I tell you, all of us talk about experience. And many people say, I have 10 years experience, 20 years of experience. I ask them, what is this? What does this term experience mean to you? Many of them say, I have been doing this for 20 years. That's experience. I tell them, look, experience is not what happens to you. Experience is what you make out of it. If you can make out of it, something out of it, that is experience. And to have this experience, to make out something, to make something out of it, we need to keep our minds open. Because we don't know who will teach us a lesson of our lifetime. We'll have to be very careful. There was a professor. He had the air of believing that he was the professor. No one to equal him, let alone excel. No one to equal. One day he was traveling in a train all alone in the compartment, no one else. The train stopped in a small village station, and an ordinary looking villager got into the compartment. As the train marched, this man thought that he could make fun of this fellow because he looked very ordinary, typically a villager, an illiterate. So he started a conversation, asked him, what's your name? He gave out some name, and he asked him, what do you do? He said, I am a farmer. Are you literate? He said, no, I'm not literate, I'm an illiterate. I have not seen the school building, let alone going to a school. I have not seen a school building. This man thought, okay, I can make fun of this fellow, a bakra. Then he said, where are you going to? He named a destination. He said, I am also going there. The journey takes another 3 hours. If we sit like this, it will be very boring. Why don't we play a game? But this villager, though illiterate, full of confidence, he said, why not? We'll play a game. And professor asked him, look, you say you have not studied. I cannot play any game which involves intelligence. Chess, cards, and all that involve intelligence, and you have not studied, you are an illiterate, whereas I am a professor. I can't play a game with you which requires intelligence. And then they said, so please tell me, what should we do? Then the professor said, okay, in that case we'll do one thing, a simple game of question and answer. I pose a question to you, you answer, I will give you 100 rupees, you can't answer, you give me 10 rupees. 1:10 odds, because I am a professor, you are an illiterate man. And this man said, yes sir, no problem. Then the professor said, look, you are an illiterate man, I am a professor. It is fair enough that you ask me question first. I should not ask you because I am a professor. You are an illiterate man. He went on saying this. This illiterate man, with a broad smile on his face, said, okay sir, so you want me to ask question first? Yes. Then he asked him, sir, what are you? And this man very proudly said, I am a professor of zoology. What does it mean, sir? That means, I know about all animals on this planet Earth and even outside. Look at the overconfidence. Not only the planet Earth, even outside. This villager, with a mischievous smile, said, okay, sir, in that case, answer my question. In my village, I find an animal which has one leg when it is sitting. It becomes 2 when it stands. Automatically becomes 3 when it starts walking, and 4 when it starts running. Name the animal. Our professor had it. He started revising whatever he had studied, whatever he had taught in the class, whatever he had browsed to the net. Half an hour, and this man is mischievously smiling, relaxed. After half an hour, he pulled out his purse, gave 100 rupees to this villager and said, I am sorry, excuse me, I don't know, please answer. The villager gave back 10 rupees and said, I also don't know, sir. Friends, my request to all of you is this. Let us be humble. Let us accept. In case I don't know, I would always very honestly say, I don't know, please excuse me. I would like to learn. This is the attitude that we require to excel as human beings. Let us not try to show off that we know. There are many things, we don't know. And in fact, today is the era of specialization. The era of specialization is, knowing more and more about less and less. That is what is specialization. You go to your doctor, eye doctor, he will ask you, Which eye? Left eye? Sorry, I am a right eye specialist. You go to a left eye specialist. That's the case. That's what we are seeing practically. So specialists knowing more and more about less and less. So once we do not know, let's accept it. Let's have that humbleness, humility to say, I don't know. That is what is keeping the mind open. These are the three requests. You promise we continue with our presentation and the interaction. Yes, please. You have already requested. Let's go to the next. Yes, next please. Next. Yeah, I just want you to observe this for a while. I have already asked you to keep your eyes open, mind open, and you see a small accident. You must be very watchful. In fact, you know, a small accident. You look at the baby and the father of the child there. Imagine a situation, he has come back from office, one day cricket match, I think today the match is on, and let's say last over, 8 runs to score, only 1 wicket in hand, tensed up, sitting glued to the chair, watching the TV. The wife comes with the child and the feeding bottle and says, please take care, and you know what has happened. And see the perception. When I show this to college students, you know what they tell me, boys in particular, they would tell me, sir, how lucky the child is, sir. Perception at play. Friends, my intention of showing this to you is, I always request people to be present to the present. If you are present to the present, you will certainly be in a position to excel in whatever field that you want to excel, but more so as good human beings. Next. Well, when I talk about personal excellence, relating it to human excellence, I have 3-dimensional approach. I call that tighter side, brighter side, and the lighter side of life. What is the tighter side of life? Let's go to the next place. The tighter side, yes. See, when it comes to tighter side, friends, I would always request people to have self-discipline. If you should excel as a good human being, you must be self-disciplined. What is this self-discipline? There are 2 types of discipline. One is self and the other one is imposed. Somebody stands here with a AK-47 and all of you know how to behave. There is no one like that. We know how we can behave. So self and imposed. A classic example. Recently when I was in Bangalore driving my car, I found a college boy jumping the signal. He was on his new generation bike, and our boys, they try to zoom, particularly if there is a ladies' college around. And then this boy zoomed and jumped the signal, and the constable sent a message on the wireless with the next police cop there. And then when I went there, stopped, he was also stopped by the police, and he was asking him, are you not aware of the signal? The boy very confidently answered, yes sir, I know. What does amber mean? Start. Green, go. Red, stop. Oh, you know. I know, sir. What was the color of the signal when you jumped? Red, sir. What you should have done? Stopped, sir. Did you not see? I saw, sir. But why you did not stop? I did not see you, sir. That's the answer. I know everything. Friends, what is essential is, if I should be called self-disciplined, I am not worried whether others are looking at me or otherwise. I follow that because I believe in that. And that is what one of the C's that I talk about in human excellence, conviction. If you have the conviction, you know that you should follow, you will follow. You will not wait for somebody else to tell you. You will also take the initiative. You take the initiative. Once you take the initiative, you are proactive. You are a proactive person, you become a good human being, an excellent human being. Because you don't wait for others to tell you, to correct you. You know when to correct, when to adopt, when to follow. That's essential. So self-discipline is something which tells you that you need to follow. You follow that. Like somebody asked me, can you define punctuality? In fact, I was sharing with the organizers before we started the talk. In fact, humorously it is said in the management parlance these days, they talk about this. What is punctuality? And one boy said, sir, it is the art of guessing the boss's arrival time. If you know that the boss is here at 10, 9:58, you are the most punctual employee. Even though the time of entry is 9:59, I am there because I am there before the boss has arrived. That's essential? No. What is very important is I have that conviction, I follow, I have self-discipline, I have this. That is very, very important, and that is what is talking about this. Please, next. Talking about self, talking about time, money, I've already told you, I don't want to dwell on that, and people. Most important thing is this, friends. Today, in this competitive world, when people have entered this rat race, I find that people are not respecting people. To excel as human beings, we must learn the art of respecting people, because there is a beautiful saying. It says, please use things and love people. Don't use people and love things. The day I start loving people, using things, I become a good human being. I excel as a human being because I respect people. I love people. When I say love, I don't mean the language of your cinema, language of your commercial serials. Love is something which is divine, and that is very important. It reminds me of a beautiful incident. Some of you must have read this. A man in America, a very rich businessman, went to a florist because that was the Mother's Day. He ordered for a huge bouquet and said, please have this delivered to my mother. Gave the address to the shopkeeper, florist. As he was coming out of the shop, he saw a small girl sitting on the stairs and weeping. He took pity, went to her and asked her, child, what's the problem? May I help you? The child, sobbing, said, uncle, can you please help me buy a rose? This man, immediately brought the child inside and said, child, don't worry. Select any bouquet that you want, I will pay for it. The child went round the shop, selected one single rose, the cheapest, and said, uncle, I'll be very happy if you can help me buy this. The man said once again, don't worry, any amount of money, I'm prepared to pay. Select. The child said, no, uncle, thank you very much, uncle. I'll be very happy with this. He said, okay, fine. He bought that rose, gave it to the child, paid money. He came out, and the child once again asked this man, uncle, can you please help me cross the road? This man, taking pity, held the hand of the child, crossed the road, and by then, he had become very curious. He wanted to know where the child is going. The child, after crossing 2-3 lanes, went to a graveyard, and kneeling in front of a freshly dug up grave, the child places the rose and says, Mummy, I love you, Mummy. I miss you, Mummy. Immediately this man runs back to the shop and says, please, please cancel the order for delivery. I will carry this bouquet myself. And he goes to his mother's place. After all, about half an hour in America, traveling a distance of 150 kilometers is not a big problem. In a jiffy, he reached and he rang the doorbell. The mother opened the door, saw him. She was shocked, not surprised. She was shocked. She said, Sonny, why are you here? He said, Mommy, today is Mother's Day? He said, yes, I know. There are so many Mother Days which have passed. Why did you come? I know for you, time is money. He fell at her feet and said, Mommy, please excuse me, don't say this. From today, I have corrected myself. And he says, from next Mother's Day, I will be with you personally, spending the entire day with you, Mommy. I have learned this lesson from that young child. And he narrates what happened. Friends, that is very, very important. To excel as human beings, let us love people. Let us use things. Let us not use people and love things. So fundamentally, love is something which is divine. That is what is very, very important for all of us. That is what even Swamiji says. If you can love all the people, he says, talking about God, where do you find God? You will not find God in your prayer room, in your puja room, or in temples. Open all the doors and look. There are so many people. For the first time, he called them Daridra Narayana. And that is what is very, very important. If you have that passion to help people, if you have compassion, look around. There are so many gods whom you can help. And that is very essential. That is what is true love. And if we can share that love, we can show that love, we can feel that love, we excel as human beings. And that is what we need to do. Today, friends, one thing that I have noticed in the rat race, as I was referring it to, lot of people climb up. Like a ladder, they use people. Once they climb up, they forget people. And that should not happen. And no one of us can proudly say that we are independent. Anyone who can tell me? Absolutely no one. We are all interdependent. And the entire thing works because we depend on so many people, seen and unseen. Every day morning, in fact, I would always request my people to thank those whom you can't see, but they have made your life comfortable. That is very, very important. That is the approach that we need to develop in order to excel as human beings. And of course, our culture does certainly talk about it. We say, Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. That's very, very important. So let's develop this attitude of loving people, using things. And if you change that, we will certainly not be called good human beings. And if you want to excel as a human being, friends, this humbleness, as I was telling you, that humility, and more so the compassion, not only for human beings, for all forms of life. In fact, I was so happy to see a lot of deers walking around here in this campus. I envy all of you, because in cities like Bangalore, these days we only see crows, which has become a vermin. It has already been declared as a vermin, you know. Only human beings and crows can coexist. Because, you know, we have also become so greedy, the crows are also so greedy. And we are coexisting. Many, many species of birds have vanished from cities like Bangalore. House sparrow has vanished from Bangalore city. We don't find sparrows in Bangalore now. And many species have already gone out of it. But I was so happy to see them here, moving around freely. That's very, very important. So if at all we have that compassion for all forms of life, I think we will excel as a human being. That is what we need to develop. So let's concentrate on this people orientation. In fact, you know what is said? If you are humble, if you are humane, you will always put people first. That is people approach. There is a beautiful saying that, you know, you should not run up the stairs and run down people. Please remember this. Never put down anybody. Never look down upon any person. Every human being is divine. He has divinity in him or her. And we need to respect that divinity, as Swamiji says. If at all I can see the divinity in all of you, where is the question of disrespect? We don't do it. We can't do it. So as a human being, it is very essential. There was a king, and a man brought some special water in a leather bag, and he had walked about 50 kilometers, a 50-kilometer stretch of the desert land. He had brought this water, and when he came to the kingdom, the king was in the court, and he said, "My lord, I have brought this special water for you. This is a natural spring water, very tasty. I have brought this to you." And he offered it in a cup. The king drank full cup and said, "Excellent water. I have never tasted something like this in my lifetime. Excellent, excellent. It is real amruta." And then he ordered his ministers to give him reward. When he left the court, he looked at all his ministers and said, "Probably you must be thinking that I am very selfish. I drank that water which was like amruta without sharing that with you. I know that all of you have this feeling, but let me tell you, the water was stinking because he had brought it in a leather bag, traveling about 50 kilometers in that particular terrain. It was stinking, but I valued the love and affection with which he had brought that water to me. I drank. I said excellent water to please him because I could understand the love and affection of that person. And that's why I said, but I did not offer it to you because by chance, if any one of you were to say the water is stinking, that man would have really felt bad. So I didn't want him to feel bad. That's why I did not share that water with you." That is what is humility, friends. That is what is empathy. You know, empathy is very, very important for all of us, if at all we should excel as human beings. What is empathy? Empathy, friends, is not sympathy. You know, the day is full of pathis, you know, you have so many pathis. Allopathy, Kitapathy, Chalapathy, and so on. But this empathy is, one psychologist beautifully sums it up and says, empathy is your ability to feel the way the other person is feeling. It is not just saying, you know, stepping into the shoes of others. Very easy. But what he says is further, if you have the ability to feel the way the other person is feeling, you have true empathy. You are understanding the feelings of the person. That is why today, friends, we talk about emotional quotient, EQ. In fact, in the management world today, people say, if IQ can get you hired, EQ can get you promoted. That is very important. Your ability to gel well with people, your ability to carry people along, that is very important today. We are not just talking about your IQ. And I must tell you, I must share this with you. Some of you must have heard of the youngest doctor in the world, an Indian settled in America. He held the record as the youngest doctor, qualified doctor. I am not talking of the unqualified doctors. There must be many even in Chennai practicing. I am talking about a qualified doctor. His name is Balakrishna Ambati from Andhra Pradesh. His brother Jayakrishna Ambati. This Balakrishna Ambati qualified as a medical practitioner in America at the age of 16. He was allowed to practice medicine in America. His brother Jayakrishna Ambati also became a doctor, but much later. So this Balakrishna Ambati, the youngest doctor, and the family was in news a couple of years ago when they came to India. The entire family was arrested. The entire family was arrested. One of the richest in America, but the entire family was arrested because the family was harassing the daughter-in-law of the house. The wife of Jayakrishna Ambati was being harassed for a few lakhs of dowry. They were millionaires in America, but a few lakhs of rupees, Indian rupees, the family was harassing. Now, how do you account for this? The richest, the brightest, but when it comes to EQ, emotional quotient, having human values, a big zero. So friends, today the world is talking about EQ. Of course, the SQ as well, spirituality quotient as well. So fundamentally, it is this EQ which will make you a good human being, because you can understand the feelings of the people with whom you live, with whom you work. If I can understand the feelings, if I can feel the way the other person is feeling, nothing like that. And that would certainly make you an excellent human being, an excellent person in the chosen field. I must share this with you. Very recently, in my office, one of my colleagues got a news that his wife was serious and she was admitted to a hospital. He was very nervous. He came to me and said, my wife is not doing well, she has been admitted. I said, don't worry, I will go, I'll take you. And I went to one of our group leaders and told him, I must go with him because his wife is very serious and she is already in the hospital, admitted. I'm taking. This man asked my colleague, okay, your wife is serious, okay, fine, you can go. But what happened to my income tax returns? Understand the situation. His wife is serious, she is in hospital, admitted. I have told this man that I am taking him. And at that point in time, the man says, okay, you can go. But what happened to my income tax returns? Is that the time for this person to talk about IT returns? If a person lacks that basic humility, basic EQ, he may pose such questions. Otherwise, the immediate response would be, please go. If there is anything that I can do, please tell me. That is the nature of a true, excellent human being. Not talking about other things when the situation doesn't demand. So it is EQ which differentiates us from being ordinary or extraordinary human beings. And that is what we need to learn. So fundamentally, it is people approach. If all of us can live like sisters and brothers and love, have that unconditional love, as I said, not cinematic love, unconditional, divine, the world becomes so beautiful because we respect each other. That's fundamentally essential. Next place. You know, when I was talking about self-discipline, you know, I'm sure you will have seen this elsewhere too. This is one of the shots, actual shot taken. And you know, sometimes we feel that we need not respect. That's it. Right, next place. The brighter side, friends. The brighter side, you know, in order to excel as human beings, we need to learn, de-learn, and next, relearn. What is learning? We say, Ano Badraha Kratoyantu Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come from all direction. As long as it is noble, I accept. We should accept. We should refine ourselves as human beings so that we can excel. So you keep learning. What is de-learning? De-learning is, friends, we need to, from time to time, evaluate ourselves. As human beings, if we can evaluate ourselves, we find a lot of gray area. And you need to delete certain things that we have picked up, wrong things. I need to erase. I need to delete. Once I erase or delete, I have more space created. I need to relearn. I need to add something new. That is the process. It's a lifelong process of learning, de-learning, and relearning. Most of us will have picked up something wrong. You know, it could be mannerisms. Like my teacher, English teacher, was an excellent teacher. But he had a very peculiar habit of saying, you see, at the end of every sentence. He would say, you must all study well, you see. You must concentrate, you see. You must be very studious, you see. For everything he would say, you see. One day my friend said, let us count the number of UCs. And he brought a cricket score sheet. We were sitting at the back row, and my friend went on ticking. Every UC, he will tick one. And then it reached 100, he immediately shouted, century. We had forgotten. We were involved in that, you know, totally. Not present to the present. We were in our own world. And he shouted, century. And just after a few seconds, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I look back, the teacher is standing there, and he said, get up. He was a very strict teacher, a very good teacher, no doubt, but very strict. I was shivering. I stood up and he asked me, what are you doing? I decided that I must own up. I decided honesty is the best policy. Let me tell him honestly. I said, sir, please excuse me. We were scoring. What were you scoring? UCs. And you know, he asked me, how many UCs? I said, 146. And then the bell rang, he went out and he said, please meet me after the class. And I became much more nervous. And I was expecting that he would take me to the principal and then complain and all that. But he didn't do anything. When me and my friend went to him, he said, how many you said? 146? Okay. From next class, I want you to get involved in the class. We said, yes, sir, please excuse. He said, excused. Next class, we were very careful. We sat in the second row. We wanted him to see that, you know, we are not repeating the mistake or otherwise. And after about a week's time, my friend said, hey, after a week now, let's see what is the number of UCs. We went once again, the back row, taking score of it. To our surprise, it had come down to about 80s, from 146 to 80s. And then gradually we could notice that it had come down to 10s and finally 0. After our graduation, he called both of us and said, thank you very much. And you know what he said? That particular day you taught me a great lesson. That was the day I realized that, you know, I must de-learn. I had never noticed it. And most of us do, because subconsciously it works. We are not conscious, subconsciously it works. And that is what is de-learning. And he said, thank you very much. I still remember him, and he remembers us. That's it. That's what is de-learning. In fact, I had a very peculiar habit. When I started teaching, I started my career as a banker. I gave up my bank job because it was very boring. What I was to do as a banker was add, subtract, occasionally multiply. That's it. Otherwise it is just adding and subtracting. Every day you add. Somebody deposits money, you add. Somebody withdraws money, you deduct. That's all. I felt, you know, it was very boring. Then I decided to quit. I took up teaching. I had this bad habit of asking my students, am I right? I would say something and say, am I right? One day when I said this, a boy said, hold on. In Karnataka, this is the language used by the bus conductors. When they say right, they proceed. Say hold on, they stop. So when I said, am I right? He said, hold on. The entire class burst into laughter. And I asked him, what's that? And incidentally, he was a bus conductor. That day I realized that I must come out of this habit. I decided myself, I told myself, I said very consciously, let me come out of this habit. I did come out of it. That is very, very important. And that is what is de-learning in life, friends. Many things that we will have picked up. When somebody points it out, gracefully thank them, accept. Once you are convinced, I would never say accept anything that somebody tells you. No. You are convinced. Please listen to your inner voice. The inner voice is your guiding force. It will always tell you. Even when you commit a mistake, the inner voice tells you, hey, you are committing this, you should not do this. But you suppress that inner voice and say, hey, keep quiet, I say. That's the problem. So my request to all of you is, please listen to that inner voice. It will guide you. It will correct you. Accept it. Moment you know it is wrong, come out of it. That is what is de-learning and relearning. We constantly keep learning, adding, because you have created some space. You have some space, add. That is very, very important. And that is what is relearning. Next. No. I thought, yes. Please go to that brighter side. Conviction, courage, and compassion. Of course, I have already told you. But of course, courage. I don't know whether you mean what you did. You just want to say thank you and close? Well, that is one of the reasons why I request people to also have lighter side of life. See, to be good human beings, you must also enjoy humor. That is very important, and this is one. Very recently in Bangalore, a ladies' college invited me for a talk. As I went to the rostrum, the microphone started humming. In most of the public programs, I see this as the culprit. It starts humming. Moment you start talking, it starts humming. And it did. It started humming. Immediately, the public address system boy came running to the microphone and said, sir, speaker screw loose, sir. I was introduced as the speaker of the day. And this boy says, sir, speaker screw loose, sir. And all of them are laughing, enjoying. What do I do? I had to take it in my stride. I said, probably the boy knows me well. That's it, friends. So we will have to take things along in lighter way. Right. Thank you. If you mean that seriously, tell me. I will put an end to it. So fundamentally, it's a conviction, a courage and compassion. Courage, as Swami Vivekananda says, you must face the brutes. Courage is that, you have that in you, let it manifest. All of us have this. But the fear that we have is perceived. Many of my youngsters, in my center, training center, we take children out on lot of adventure sports. Whitewater rafting, parasailing, paragliding, canyoning, kayaking, microlite flying and whatnot. They do everything. Basically because we want the children to become more courageous, more adventurous. And that is very, very important. The fear that people have is perceived fear. It's actually not there, but it's a perception. You feel so. Say for instance, if I talk about snakes and I say snake, I'm sure most of you will have your feet on the chair. Because you have that inbuilt, that fear of snakes is inbuilt. Something like that, you have not faced, so you are more afraid of it. Once you face, you know that it is so simple, you get rid of it. That is very important. And that is what is courage. Let's have that courage. And conviction. Compassion, I've already told you. I'll not repeat. We go to the next place. Well, friends, I was telling you, to become good human beings, my request to all of you, friends, is please develop good, healthy sense of humor. If you have healthy, good sense of humor, you laugh to forget. You don't carry. You will not be hypersensitive. You insulate yourself, which is very important for all of us to excel as human beings. Somebody says something inadvertently. Don't blow that out of proportion. Don't be too sensitive to take it personally. That is why it is said, take yourself very lightly, others seriously. Don't take yourself very seriously. Take yourself lightly, take others seriously. You can laugh at this world, laugh with people. That is what is good sense of humor. Good sense of humor, friends, is laughing at yourself. Laughing at yourself with people, not at people. If you develop the ability of laughing at yourself, you can take anything in life. You will be very cool, very comfortable. Nothing to worry. That is the ability. One of my colleagues has this extraordinary sense of good humor. He is absolutely bald, not even a strand of hair on his head. And you know what he tells? See, people call me baldy without knowing the luxury of being bald, I say. I asked him, luxury? What is that luxury of being bald? He said, look, I need not buy hair oil, I need not buy any cream, I need not go for haircut, I need not dye my hair, I need not have a mirror, I need not have a comb, and sometimes my wife says, bend your head, I want to fix a bindi. See, I am also helping her. And my wife cannot hold juttu, the tuft. And not only that, when I go out in rains, I don't catch cold because the water runs off. All these advantages, but only one disadvantage. I asked him, what is the disadvantage? He said, when I want to wash my face every morning, I don't know till where I must wash. That's all. Otherwise, life is so comfortable, so luxurious. And friends, that is what is laughing at self. If you have that ability of laughing at yourself, you will take everything in the right spirit. You will not be hypersensitive. What happens if you are hypersensitive? If you are hypersensitive, you always feel people are looking at you, people are talking about you, people are laughing at you. These are all the imaginations, and that runs wild. Why should you feel so? If somebody is really laughing at me, they must actually thank me. Because of me, they are laughing. And that must be the attitude. Don't bother. And we call that as insulation. Insulate yourself. Don't be worried. For example, you are walking on the street of Chennai, one of the major roads, let's say Anna Salai. Is that the major road in Chennai? Anna Salai, you are walking and your footwear, the sole of the footwear comes off. Now what should you do? There are a few options. Number one, you can buy a new pair if you have money or the plastic money with you, and if you also find a footwear shop. Otherwise, if there is a cobbler around, you may get it stitched. Or let us say, no shop, no money with you, you can't buy, no cobbler to repair. So what can you do? Well, if you feel it is reasonably good, you can get it stitched, carry that. If you feel there are already a lot of stitches, no place for you to put one more stitch, throw that in the dustbin and walk. But somehow our people feel, how can I walk on Anna Salai barefoot? If people look at me, what will they think of me? So what you do, you wear that footwear, the sole has come off, you can't have normal grip, so you try to walk like it is, something unusual. What are you trying to do? You are announcing to this world and say, look at my feet. Otherwise, no one comes to Anna Salai to look at your feet. No one is bothered about you walking on the street without footwear. But you announce, you say, look at me. That is being hypersensitive. Don't be hypersensitive. Insulate yourself. Let me tell you, for instance, you are walking on the same street, somebody claps and says, "Hey fool!" What should be your response? And generally, you know what people do? I have seen people doing this. They look back. Moment somebody claps and says, "Hey fool," you look back. What are you doing? You don't even think, And there are some people who would go a step ahead. They just don't turn back. They will say, "Who is that who is calling me?" Friends, please don't do this. Insulate yourself. Take it in your stride. You will excel. You know that you are not a fool. You must be convinced of that. So why should you turn back? Why should you ask that fellow who called me? Don't do that. Just keep walking. That is what is the advantage of taking you lightly, insulating yourself. Don't be worried. That is essential. In fact, I should have told you in the beginning, I am not a philosopher. I am not a philosopher. I am only here to share my experience, little experience on the field. Once, a disciple went to Socrates and said, "Sir, I have decided to marry. What is your advice?" And Socrates says, "My dear young boy, go ahead. You have already decided to marry. Right? You have decided. So go ahead. If you get a very loving, very affectionate, very understanding wife, you will become an ordinary happy person. If you get a wife like mine, Xanthappe, you will become a philosopher." So friends, fundamentally, let's not worry about all that. You can relax, you can sleep well. That is very important. And even Swami Vivekananda says, you have no right to have long faces. And by any chance, you feel you are not normal, you do not have the cheerful face, don't come out of your house. That is what Swamiji says. So you must try to make people happy. That is very essential. So laugh at yourself, laugh with people. I can tell you, friends, the world becomes so beautiful a place for all of us to live in. And humor, good humor is not just jokes. Let me tell you, humor is not just jokes. Life is full of humor, as you could see. I just wanted to share some of them with you. This was the board put up in front of a ward in Bowring Hospital, Bangalore. It says, "One way." And luckily the patient is not seeing the board. And you know the arrow is pointed upwards. All that meaning so many things. But the best part of it, friends, let me tell you, I called the superintendent of the hospital and told him, "Sir, there is a board like this." He said, "So what? We mean our business." That is real humor. So that is it, friends. You have a lot of examples. Let me share a few with you. Next, please. As it says here, you see, you find wonderful slogans on the t-shirts these days. I think if someone is interested in researching on this, you will certainly get a PhD. And one such interesting thing that I found was this: not all men are fools, some stay bachelors. And one girl very recently in Bangalore, MG Road, she had a beautiful quote on the back of the t-shirt. Unfortunately, I was not carrying my camera. It read, "I was born creative. Unfortunately, I was sent to school." See how meaningful it is, how true it is. So friends, humor everywhere. We'll see. Next. Yeah. No, one click at a time, please. Are you in a hurry? Oh, thank you very much. Somebody asked me, what is the contribution of Indians to this world? So first, this came to my mind. I said, an inspiring mind, none other than Swamiji himself. With his Chicago address, he could capture the entire world, made them fall at his feet without even a gun in his hand. That's the speciality. Now, these days, when we say conquer, we mean different things. But without anything, so non-violent, with love and affection, with choice of words, with his vocabulary, with his diction, he could make people fall at his feet. An inspiring person. I always say, many people say was, but I still say is. An inspiring mind, still with us. Next, some of you may know, some of you may not know. A genius mind is Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. All of you technology students must thank him. A visionary, a great visionary who thought about technical education, who thought about power generation, who thought about many industries, not only in Karnataka, in other parts of India, during the British Raj. And he was one of the consultants for the Britishers. He also went to UK at the invitation of the Queen. A genius person. And then next, A noble mind, though not a born Indian, very much an Indian. Mother Teresa, a noble mind. Have we stopped? I always say no, we continue to produce. Next. Next. Please forgive me, I am not here to offend anyone. I am not here to offend anyone. But you know the way in which he reacts. That's one thing. Of course, you know, he made really good news when he was the railway minister. He did bring in wonderful changes. All that is excellent. But the way he presents himself and sometimes, you know, talks something nonsense, maybe he creates humor. And of course, thanks to our media project him as a very humorous man. That's it. Next. Please, one at a time. Don't be in a hurry. Because, you know, they say hurry ends in worry. You are in a hurry, it worries me. Can you watch this for a while and tell me what sport is this? Tennis? Wonderful. Very good. Your perception is excellent. Watch this carefully and tell me who has won, who has lost. The man jumping over the net or the man standing there extending his hand. If you say this, that, I will not be able to understand. So, the man jumping over the net or the man who is standing there extending his hand? Jumping? No? Well, the house is divided. You are all very wise. So, you will have decided, let's say 50% this, 50% that. So, one group must be correct. Some of you feel that the man who is jumping over the net has won. Why? Why do you feel so? Because you feel he is very enthusiastic? Okay. And what about the other man standing there? Thumbs up. Congratulating. Maybe he is an excellent human being. He has accepted the defeat, but he says, nothing wrong, you know. I have won by losing. I have won a friend. I have lost a match. I don't think we find that spirit anymore in sports today. Do we? Very rarely we come across such sportsmen today. Otherwise it is a war only. Right? Anyway, some of you say that the man who is jumping over the net has won, while some of you say that the man who is standing there extending his hand has won. Let's see. Next. Now please tell me, who has won, who has lost? The man running or the man standing? Running? Standing. Some of you said the man jumping. The same man is now running. If he has won, where is he running to? To? Be honest, don't worry. Don't hesitate. To? Yes? Oh. He is so excited he wants to go there. Well, anyway, let's see the next one. You are really perplexed with the expression of this man. You know, some of you said the man who is standing there has won. Next. Friends, I said, please keep your minds open. And I just want to tell you, please, for heaven's sake, don't jump to conclusions. Unless you gather full information, don't jump to conclusions. And many of us have this limitation. Somebody will come and tell you, did you know what Mohan was talking about you? Moment somebody says, you know what Mohan was talking about you? I immediately decide and say, Mohan was talking about me, I will teach him a lesson. I don't even know what he was talking about me. I don't even find out. I'm not a good listener. I don't find out. I will immediately jump to conclusion and say, because I perceive, it's my imagination that he would have said something against me. So I said, okay, I'll teach him a lesson. Sometimes, you know, after all that you ask him, what did he say? He said, you're a very nice person. See the problem? Most of us have this. We jump to conclusion. So my request to all of you friends, to excel as human beings, let us not have that prejudice. Let us not jump to conclusions. Let us accept. Let us listen to people. The best thing for any one of us to do, friends, as human beings, if we have problems, the best thing is to resolve the conflict. How do you resolve the conflict? The best is communication. Please communicate with people. That is very important. You have some problem with somebody, go to him or her and say, I have this problem. Let us sit, discuss, and thrash out the differences. Many of us are not doing this today. So very unfortunate. We say we go to moon, and someday you will not be surprised if we also go to Mars and many other planets. But the problem is we don't walk across a street to meet somebody. That is the pity, most unfortunate thing. And even in families, friends, forget about friends and others, even in families, there is a problem. The problem gets aggravated because we close all channels of communication. The husband and wife quarrel, and you know what happens? I have seen this in many households. Husband and wife quarrel, communication stops. Verbal communication stops. And sometimes the verbal communication is through the child which is in the cradle. A young child in the cradle. The mother says, tell your daddy, breakfast is ready. The child doesn't know, it is sleeping merrily. And the mother says, tell your daddy, breakfast is ready. And he says, tell your mummy, who wants to eat that stuff. Like this, it goes on. The war of words, not directly, indirectly. In some households, you have these boards, scribble boards. You also have a marker. The husband writes something, the wife answers. The wife writes something, the husband answers. They don't meet across, they don't discuss. And in some families, no scribble board, only chit business. Husband writes a chit, wife writes a chit. It so happened in one of the household, the husband had stopped talking to his wife, and vice versa. One day he had to go very early, he had to catch a very early morning flight. He wrote a chit and said, wake me up at 5 o'clock. When he woke up, it was already 6 o'clock. He lost his temper and shouted at his wife and said, idiot, irresponsible. I said, you wake me up at 5 and what have you done? She said, don't shout. Look at the chit. I have also written, 5 o'clock, please get up. She has written it on a chit. So friends, this will not work. As human beings, my request to all of you is, we have problems. We have problems. Is there anyone who can tell me that I have no problems? Sometimes that is the greatest problem, that you have no problems. But the problem is, friends, when we have problems, we don't discuss, thrash out the differences and get closer. So my request to all of you is, whenever you have problems in relationship, with friends, with parents, with teachers, with colleagues, anybody, with partners, you will always have to sit, discuss, thrash out all the differences. It is very simple for us. And that is what we need to do. So please don't jump to conclusions. Do not perceive. Because when you perceive, you only think from your point of view. You will never take the point of view of the other person. That is very important. And one more thing that I would always like to share is, your point of view depends on the viewpoint. See, your viewpoint is also very important. The point of view depends on the viewpoint as well. So please understand. You're too close to it, you don't have a complete picture. That is very important. You stand before a very big building, very close to the building, you will not have a complete picture of that. Only when you go back, further away, you have a full picture of it. That must be the approach when it comes to relationships in life. To excel as human beings, let us understand this. Let's value our relationships. And a person who understands the relationship is always ready to let go. To let go what? Egotism. If you can let go that egotism of saying, I, the super I, the bloated I-ness, we say highness of I-ness, that should go. If that is gone, I will always say, you don't come to me, don't worry, I will come to you. That is as simple as this. Friends, please practice this and see the difference in the quality of life. Please, I request all of you to try this. See the difference in the quality of life. You will excel as a human being because you are respected. You are respected because of your humility. And that is very, very important. Let's forego that egotism. And this is very, very essential. Don't stand on formalities. Don't stand on this platform of egotism. Surrender that. Let go. You will see the quality change in life. Next. You know, sometimes you see this board, caution men at work, and a lady inscribed below that. She said, women work all the time, men have to put up signs when they work. I'm sure all the ladies will agree. You know, normally ladies have no retirement. They may retire from the profession, but as homemakers, they continue. So you don't see a board which says, caution women at work. No, it's only men. We don't work. Whenever we work, we want to put up signs. And in Chennai, I must tell you, on this Mount Road, which is now called Anna Salai, we have the chapter of Chartered Accountants of India. Opposite to that is a small church with the idol, Jesus idol, inscribed, Jesus never fails. And somebody wrote below that and said, ask him to take CA. You know, CA is one of the toughest exams. And you say, Jesus never fails, so let him take CA. This is what is called spontaneity in humor, friends. Don't attach anything else to that. See, don't bring in religion, don't bring in caste, all that, you know. Humor is above all this. You must have large-heartedness to enjoy that, appreciate that. That is very important. Don't bring logic also. In humor, you should not bring logic. Don't try to be too logical. If you are too logical, you become very serious. When you are very serious, you don't attract people. You know, there are two classes of people on this earth. First class, those who bring happiness wherever they go. Wherever they go, they are very jovial, so people flock them, they are very happy. You know, that's it. So they bring happiness wherever they go. The second category, the second class, they bring happiness whenever they go, not otherwise. So friends, if you want to excel as a human being, my request to all of you is, please belong to the first category. Bring happiness, bring cheer. And how do you bring that cheerfulness? How do you bring cheerfulness? Fundamentally, let me tell you, friends, if you are cheerful, you share that cheer with others. You feel good, you can share goodness with others. I have seen in campus in Bangalore, most of our youngsters, when they wish their teachers today of late, these days, you know how they wish? They say, morning sir. And if somebody tells me morning sir, I would call the boy or the girl and say, thank you very much for reminding me. You know, when they say morning, what they expect? You look around and say, yes, morning, yes, morning. I tell them, please don't do this. Very cheerfully, with a smile on your face, say good morning. Feel the goodness first. When you feel goodness, you share goodness. I also feel so very happy. I say very good morning to you. That is it. So let's bring that happiness. Let's be alive. Let's make people alive. Next. You know, sometimes you see a board, beware of dogs. And behind the gate, you see the owner and the dog standing like this. Or in cities like Bangalore, next place, when women go with their pets to a beauty parlor, you really get confused. Next place. See, creativity at play. This is an actual shot. And that's why I say, you know, to excel as human beings, let's relax, let's enjoy all this. As Swamiji also says. So, you will have to find all this. Look, they feel, you know, they are very creative. They forget that, you know, the thief will take the lock also away. Because these days, making a duplicate key is not a very difficult task. But all said and done, just enjoy that. That moment of happiness is very important to us. And share. This is what is true happiness. Good sense of humor. Let's have that mind open to enjoy. Next place. Well, of course, as Swamiji says, you must have faith in you. Faith in you, faith in what you do, faith in the Lord. If you believe in God. If you don't, for some reason, I would say, have faith in the supernatural power. Something which is guiding all of us. Something which is controlling all of us. Something which is controlling the universe. Something. We call that God. I, for one, would always say God. So what is this faith, friends? Faith moves. If you have faith in yourself, you believe that you can do it, you will do it. You will be what you think you are. That is very important, as Swamiji says. So this faith is something fundamental for us to become good human beings. If I have faith in what I do, if I have faith in what I want to do as a human being, I excel. This is essential. How this works? If you suspect, it never works. Have full faith, implicit faith, unquestionable faith. A man like me was trekking in Himalayas. It was getting dark, very cold, and suddenly he fell in the valley, and he immediately shouted, "Oh God, please help me." And to his surprise, he found a tree protruding, and he could cling on to a branch of the tree. In the nick of the time he finds that, said, "God, thank you." Relieved, because he could cling on to the branch. He wanted to come up. He was trying to come up, but he could hear the noise of the tree cracking. As he tried to come up, it was cracking, so he gave up that attempt, shouted once again, "Is there somebody who can help me? Please help me." He heard a voice which said, "Let go of the tree, I will help you." He immediately shouted back and said, "Idiot, with lot of difficulty I am clinging on to this to save my life, and you say, let go? Is there somebody else who can help me?" We are used to second opinion, We are not happy with the first opinion. Second opinion. He shouts, no voice heard. It's already dark, pitch dark, very cold, spine biting. But he was managing entire night like that because he knew by any chance he sleeps, he will let go, he will fall, he will die. So he was afraid. Whole night he was struggling, dangling. And next morning, as the sun came up, mustering lot of courage, he looks down, and to his surprise, the ground is just 1 foot below his feet. Just 1 foot. He did not listen to that voice which said, "Let go, I will help you." Friends, God is always with us. This is what I have experienced. Don't expect me to show you, but I have experienced enough. When I was in need, some help came to me. In fact, just to share before I conclude, couple of years ago, I was in Chhattisgarh. We were conducting outbound learning program for the MBA students of the Jain University at Raipur. We were in a place called Barnaupar, Chhattisgarh. In fact, the boy who was with me this morning hails from Chhattisgarh, and he was so happy when I said, I have visited Barnaupar, a beautiful forest. And first day we could complete all our program. That night there was a cloud burst, and next morning the whole area was flooded. The whole area was flooded, still raining. We could see the water level rising, and students had to wade through the water to get us food. And second day also it rained, cats and dogs. The ration got exhausted. We really had wonderful adventure camp in the true sense. And third day the water started receding, and I had to come back to Bangalore, catch my flight at Raipur. We came to a point, the water was flowing, there was a small rivulet, and the vehicle driver said, "Sir, we can't cross this. Current is very heavy, we can't cross." And we were stranded there. But I had to catch my flight. And then suddenly, from nowhere, a man came on his two-wheeler, stopped at the other end. From nowhere he came, I was really surprised. He came, and one of the boys who spoke in Oriya asked him, and as we were talking, two villagers who came on their bicycles lifted the bicycles, and they waded through this water. The water was almost neck deep. Then at least, I could think that, I can also wade through. Because I was little taller than those two. Of course, I am short, I know, but I was little taller than them. So I decided that I can also wade through. I did. And that man promised to drop me on the highway. And he did drop. The Then from there I got a jeep to Raipur, and then everything went off like a cinema, everything went off well. By the time I reached my airport, the announcement was that the flight was delayed by half an hour. So relaxed. I could catch. Even now, in retrospect, when I think about it, I always think that some force brought him there, and that is what I call God. He interfered, divine intervention, and he was there to drop me. That is essential. So that faith, and believe in yourself, believe in what you do, it will certainly work wonders. And that faith must be unquestionable. A village had drought for many years, and a sadhu came to that village, and all the villagers went to him and said, Sadhuji, please do something, get us rain. And the sadhu said, okay, tomorrow morning we will all assemble in this field. I will pray for you. And I promise it will rain. And let me also tell you, it will be heavy rains, not drizzle, heavy rains. And next morning, when Sadhu went there, all the villagers are gathered. Everyone is there. And only one child has come with an umbrella. And Swamiji, this Sadhu says, look at the faith. All of you have come. You want rains. But still, you have come with a doubt in your mind. But this little child believed me so much that it has brought an umbrella, because I said heavy rains. That is the type of faith that we need. It can move. It can do wonders. So let's have that faith. And here, as you could see in this image, I may be like a cat, but I can always look like a lion. In the sense, I can feel like a lion. Now what is inside me is very important. Physically, I may not appear like a lion, but inside, mentally, by attitude, I can always look like a lion. And all of us are capable of this. Let's have this, so that we show that divinity. We express that divinity. And to become a perfect human being, this is what is required. In short, I always tell you that compassion, that courage, conviction, if you can have. Be humble, humane, and humorous. Life is wonderful. It's a beautiful journey, and we can make this world certainly a better place for all of us to live. Thank you very much, friends, for being with me. Do we close?
If any of you are having any questions, you can ask.
Yes, please. Can you give him a microphone, please? It's not working. Or would you mind coming here, please?
It's working. Check.
Hello? Okay,
Yeah.
can everyone hear? People tend to have a very good value system, so something that they hold on to very dearly. But what this can harm them in some way, and it's seen as harmful, is that you tend to be closed-minded. Because if you have your value and that says something that you believe is wrong, but others will say you have to be an open mind to accept it. How could you be both? How could you have a very good value system, but still show that you are very open-minded?
Well, you see, we need to have our value systems. I don't say we need not. But what's essential is, as I told you, it's not that you accept everything that is given to you. You need to evaluate. And I said, please listen to your inner voice, which is guiding all of us. If you can listen to the inner voice, you will always accept once you know that what the other person is saying is right. And there is no question of any argument there. I am convinced. Moment I am convinced, I accept. If I am not convinced, I would certainly reject it. And because I have the conviction, I have my value systems, I don't accept anything which is against these fundamental principles. But once you know that there is something good, and if at all he or she convinces me that my values that I feel are good are not correct actually, I need to accept it. I need to submit myself. And this is what is very, very important for all of us, because if we should develop self-esteem, it talks of three things. Self-esteem consists of, most important, self-worth. You must be aware of your worth. Self-evaluation. Time to time we need to evaluate ourselves. And then self-respect. So all three are essential. But more important is the self-evaluation. And you know you are aware of your worth. You also continuously evaluate yourself. Some de-learning takes place, then relearning takes place. And we need to do this. Is it clear? Did I take your question correctly? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Sir, what would be your take on controlling the anger? To just quote a recent example very briefly, I'm fond of blogging. Yesterday I was blogging about conservation of electricity and everything. So this friend of mine was with me and I just blasted on him that whenever you go out of your room, you keep your fans on. When millions of Indians are depriving of electricity, farmers are committing suicides, and it is a crime. Like I told him, you are like a killer. You are responsible for the suicides of the farmers. Don't you have it in you to switch the fan off when you go out of the room? Then yeah, I was very angry at that time, and after 5 minutes I realized that probably this is not the way I should be talking. And he took it rightly. He switched the fan off and he promised me that he'll be taking care of it. But I don't think that I could convey the thing what I wanted to very effectively. So at some particular times of excitement, how do I control my anger?
Well, you see, fundamentally, what I would request all of you is to practice meditation and, yogasana, which would help you. Yogasana in particular, and of course the pranayama as well, because it would help you in making both the hemispheres of the brain working in tandem, and you will be cool. That's number one. Number two, I would always say, if you have the right attitude, for a while, just relax. That is what our elders also have said, and today the psychologists world over are talking about it. They say count up to 10, have a glass of water, all this. But my approach would be very simple. I would request people to use humor. If you can use humor, nothing like that. For instance, because you asked me this question, it reminds me of an incident. There was an office with a glass door and a man kicked the door open. He kicked the door open, goes to the lady receptionist who was sitting there and shouts at her, "Tell me, where is the boardroom?" This lady looks at him with a smile. She says, "Sir, please go straight, take first right. There is a big board, signboard, which says, 'For gentlemen only.' You please ignore and enter, sir." The man walks up to the board. He is in that fit of anger. He walks there, stands there, looks at the board, then recollects what the lady had said. She says, "Please ignore and enter." He comes back and says, "Madam, I'm sorry." Let me tell you one more example. There was a great writer, a Tamilian, who became very popular in Kannada literature, T.P. Kailasam. T.P. Kailasam was known for his wit, humor, presence of mind. And friends, let me tell you, the greatness of Kailasam was he knew 17 foreign languages with authority, not just knowing. These days, I see a lot of people, languages known, they list. You ask them to speak or write, they say, "I don't know, but I know Tamil." I can't speak Tamil. I know. Because there is a language called Tamil, I know Tamil. That's not the way you say, "I know Tamil, I know English." He knew 17 foreign languages, apart from 8 Indian languages, with mastery. In fact, I was told that even Britishers used to feel jittery to speak in English in his presence. That was the mastery he had, excellence. As a human being, he excelled. He was once talking to his friends, and there was a chemistry professor. Chemistry professor had the air of believing that he was the professor in the field of chemistry. And during the course of the conversation, he says, "Copper sulfate is green in color." Any basic science student knows that it is blue, not green. How to correct? Kailasam immediately, it seems, said, Professor, you are right. You are right. Copper sulfate has that shade of green which is popularly called blue. And immediately, friends, what is very important is this professor immediately gets up, hugs Kailasam and says, hats off to you, Kailasam. That's it. Please, just think for a while. And be careful in the choice of words. Choice of words are very, very important. The problem is, many of us want to say something, end up saying something else. Recently, in one of the technology institutes in Bangalore, they called me to give a talk on the topic ape to soup rape. I told you I'm an amateur naturalist. They asked me to talk on ape to soup rape. After this, after a week's time, I was going with my wife near a shopping mall. Few students approached me and said, sir, good evening. I was very happy. I said, good evening. And they said, sir, we are from this institute. Sir, last week you gave a presentation on ape to soup rape, sir. And one boy said, sir, it was very good. I was so happy because my wife was with me, you know, and the boys are giving me a certificate. I was so happy. With a smile, I looked at my wife. And immediately one boy said, sir, whenever we see a monkey, we think of you, sir. Friends, that's what I said. You develop sense of humor, you will not lose temper. I have practiced it. Honestly, I tell you, with conviction I can tell you, I do this. The best thing is humor. But don't be sarcastic. Please, don't be sarcastic. Unless it is required. The last resort must be sarcasm. But initially, don't resort to it. It works. And let me tell you, it really works. Work wonders. So, my request is, there is a beautiful saying, please trust me, practice this, it will help you. Activity outside, tranquility inside. Never allow the inner peace to be disturbed. Sometimes this world requires you to pretend to be angry. Please pretend to be angry, don't become angry. Some of you may be aware, if you are angry for a minute, friends, there will be a lot of chemical changes taking place in your body which affects your health. You are shouting at me, but your health gets affected. So remember this, tranquility inside, activity outside. Sometimes you need to show that anger, don't become angry. That is very important. And the best thing is, tell your friend, and before telling him, you go switch off all that and say, this is very important, they will practice. You know what is said? Actions speak louder than words. Your action is followed. So demonstrate that in action, people follow. I have been practicing it in my office and my home. It works. It really works. So let's share something like that. It will really do a lot of good to all of us. Thank you. Yes, please.
Any other?
How to know that what to de-learn? Like you mentioned that the need to de-learn before to be de-learn. So how to know? Because sometimes the surrounding people they may tell us abruptly.
Yeah, wonderful question. Thank you very much. In fact, you see, the question is, how do we de-learn? In fact, as I said, you know, in order to develop, we need to constantly evaluate ourselves. There is a beautiful concept in psychology called Johari window. It's a beautiful exercise. I don't know how many of you are exposed to it. It, in short, talks about 4 quadrants. All of us, the human mind, has 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is called the open mind, which is known to self, known to others. The second one is called blind, which is not known to self, but known to others. That area you must concentrate. How to concentrate? You must take feedback. See, by taking feedback from your people, your close friends, your relatives, your family members, take genuine feedback from people in whom you have complete trust. And tell them, your good friends, best friends, tell them, please let me know what are my mistakes, the gray area, the blind spots. That is number 1. Number 2, you need not always solicit. Sometimes you get unsolicited feedback. Accept that. Don't reject. Somebody will be talking about you and there is some meaning in it. No arguments, accept it. That is very important. Unsolicited feedbacks are very important. So we need to accept. And that is the best way. So please talk to people and very genuinely receive feedback and evaluate yourself. Just because they tell you something, immediately don't accept. You will have to talk to yourself. Self-evaluation must continuously go on. Once you're convinced, please deal. And that will do a lot of good to us as human beings so that we can excel as human beings. That is very important. Some shortfalls. Somebody might tell you, you're short-tempered. When somebody tells you short-tempered, don't show short temper and say, how do you say that? Accept, evaluate, you feel, correct. We have to continuously do this so that you get over and refine yourself as a human being. And that continuous refinement is necessary for all of us. We should do it. Thank you.
The last question of the evening.
Perhaps the last question would be, what time do you stop?
Any question? Okay. So
Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. God bless.
As sir said, we should always remember, first become a good human being and then try to have other things. Thank you, sir, for your motivating words. Now I would like to call upon our volunteer Vivek to present memento and books to our guests as a token of our gratitude. With this, we have come to the end of this session. I would request Coordinator Mayur to give vote of thanks.
Dear friends, it has been a great experience to be a part of this wonderful evening. On behalf of Vivekananda Study Circle, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Speaker Professor Raghottam Rao, who has come all the way from Bangalore to address us. We feel rewarded by listening to his illuminating and inspiring ideas. Thank you very much, sir. Our thanks to various departments in IIT, especially the Office of Dean Students, the Placement Office, the Security Section, and Center for Continuing Education, for providing us active cooperation and support in organizing our activities. Finally, our thanks to all our dear audience for their enthusiastic and gracious presence. Thanks one and all.
Thank you all.